Is your heart medication built on evidence you can trust or on studies that fell apart under scrutiny?
Welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. Stay informed with quick, easy-to-listen summaries of our latest articles, perfect for when you're on the go. No reading required. Subscribe for free at mercola.com for the latest health insights.
Hello, and welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. I'm Ethan Foster, and today we're examining how ticagrelor became a blockbuster anti-clotting drug, despite warnings from FDA scientists, what later investigations found, and how you can use this knowledge to make safer decisions.
I'm Alara Skye. You're going to hear why the pivotal Plato trial that unlocked global approval for ticagrelor raised red flags, how U.S. patients actually did worse on the drug than on clopidogrel, and why those concerns were overridden. We'll keep this direct, fact-focused, and centered on actions you can take.
Ticagrelor was marketed as safer and more effective than older, cheaper options, and treatment guidelines followed that lead. The narrative sounded definitive, but from the start, questions about data reliability and trial integrity shadowed the drug. If you or someone close to you was placed on ticagrelor, you deserve to know how that reputation was built and why it remains contested.
FDA analyses showed that U.S. patients had a 27% higher risk of major cardiovascular events on ticagrelor compared with clopidogrel, the exact opposite of results claimed elsewhere. AstraZeneca argued that higher aspirin doses in the U.S. explained the difference, but FDA scientists rejected that as insufficient. If you were prescribed the drug in the U.S., you may have faced a risk profile your doctor did not realize.
One FDA medical officer, Dr. Thomas Marciniak, concluded after a detailed review that ticagrelor appeared inferior in both safety and efficacy and recommended against approval. He also criticized the completeness and responsiveness of the sponsor's submissions. Despite this, FDA leadership approved the drug, which means administrative decisions overruled scientific objections inside the agency.
Monitoring practices within PLATO added another layer. The sponsor oversaw most trial sites, but 4 countries, including the U.S., used independent monitors. In those independently monitored regions, ticagrelor performed worse than clopidogrel. Where the sponsor managed oversight, ticagrelor looked better. If you assume large trials are uniformly impartial, this inconsistency should prompt hard questions.
Investigators later reported altered and disputed outcome classifications. Adjudicators added heart attacks to the clopidogrel group and not to the ticagrelor group, and death counts differed between journal reports and internal records. When reporting shifts advantage one way, you're not looking at a neutral ledger. You're seeing how classification can tip a composite endpoint and change a drug's public image.
Composite endpoints, death from vascular causes, heart attack, or stroke, heighten that sensitivity. Small changes in how events are defined or assigned can swing results from neutral to favorable. For you, this means labels like superior can reflect trial mechanics as much as actual benefit. It's a reminder to ask how outcomes were counted, not just what the headline said.
Follow-up platelet studies used to reinforce ticagrelor's case, onset/offset and respond, were also called into question. Primary endpoints were misstated in publication, non-significant findings were presented as significant, and more than 60 platelet readings were missing from datasets submitted to regulators. When key measurements vanish or change definition, confidence in claimed superiority erodes.
Those platelet studies demanded unusual burdens from participants, including repeated blood draws totaling more than a standard donation in short windows. That can select for only the most persistent volunteers and limit how well results generalize to you as a typical patient. Authorship issues surfaced too, with some listed authors denying participation and active recruiters left off the byline.
Even the laboratory methods raised concerns. Platelet aggregation testing is highly sensitive to timing and technique and is best centralized to a single site. Instead, measurements span multiple countries and labs, making consistency harder to ensure. When the original definition of a primary endpoint yields a non-significant result, and a new definition flips it to significant, you should treat the conclusion with caution.
So what does this mean for your next cardiology appointment? First, you can ask whether the benefits you were told about rely on trials with missing data, changed endpoints, or regional discrepancies. You can also ask about proven alternatives, including older, less expensive options, such as clopidogrel, and how your personal risk profile compares to the populations where ticagrelor underperformed.
Second, you can lower your reliance on anticlotting drugs by addressing root drivers of cardiovascular risk. Cut vegetable oils from your diet. Avoid ultra-processed foods. Increase your intake of whole food carbohydrates. And build strength through daily walking and regular resistance training. These are direct actions you can start today to improve circulation and reduce clotting risk.
Third, track progress with markers that reflect metabolic health rather than outdated single numbers. Monitor your HOMAIR to gauge insulin resistance, check fasting glucose, and follow your triglyceride to HDL ratio. Use a home blood pressure cuff to watch trends. Treat each reading as feedback on whether your daily choices are moving you toward lower risk and less dependence on drugs.
Finally, stay informed and proactive about drug safety. FDA. Approval does not guarantee best-in-class benefit or clean evidence. Read independent investigations, look for consistency across regions and monitoring methods, and weigh potential advantages against documented flaws. The goal is not to refuse care. It's to ensure you receive care backed by reliable data.
If you've already been prescribed ticagrelor, use this discussion to prompt a detailed conversation. Ask what the evidence shows for patients like you, whether an alternative such as clopidogrel is appropriate, and how lifestyle changes can reduce your treatment burden. The more precise your questions, the clearer your path forward becomes.
Here's your challenge. In the next 48 hours, list the exact reasons you're on an anti-clotting drug, request a copy of the study or guidelines supporting that choice, and schedule a follow-up to discuss whether a proven alternative fits your risk profile. At the same time, remove vegetable oils from your kitchen, plan a 20-minute daily walk, and set up weekly checks of fasting glucose, HOMA-IR, triglyceride to HDL ratio, and blood pressure to track improvement. Thank you for watching Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe now and click the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.